In case of international trade, the question comes why the international trade actually starts and what exactly international trade can be defined as. For example, if I am sending the goods to my branch abroad, is it an international trade? So many questions are there and the answer is given by this unit, that is chapter 4 International Trade, unit 1 Theories of International Trade. The chapter explains us how exactly international trade is defined and why the country imports the goods. What is the base behind importing the goods and exporting the goods? There are different theories explaining that factor also. So let's start with theories of international trade. Obviously the first question comes, what exactly international trade is? It means the trade between two or more countries, a simple definition. It crosses the physical boundaries of the country for trade. International trade points in favor. So, international trade is a transaction between two different persons from different countries. That is very simple to understand. Now, why the international trade has been introduced and why it is so popular? What are the points in favor of international trade? Let's see. First, increase in volume of business. Obviously, my market is limited. At one stage, the saturation point comes. So then I enter in the another market, which can be in the other country also. So it gives me a bigger volume. Increase in efficiency. When I'm explored to the world, I will get some new development or technologies, and my efficiency automatically gets increased. Qualitative competition, when I'm entering in a competition with international businesses or manufacturing or service giving organization, obviously quality consciousness automatically comes. Boost to the competition, as we have seen. Better source for input. Maybe the quality of input which I was getting from my country was not to that extent that my finished goods will be having that quality. Now I am allowed to import the raw material. Obviously the quality of finished goods will improve, my profit margin will also go up. Cheaper source of input, on the same line as the quality is discussed, same for the amount of purchasing price, that is the cost of raw material also. I can get a cheaper options when I am purchasing the goods from the outside. Exposure to international market, it gives a lot of maturity to the manufacturer and service provider when you have entered in the international market. Helps the SWOT analysis. When you are comparing your performance with that of others, obviously your strength, weaknesses, opportunities to you and threats you face, everything will come up. No limits to customer base. A person sitting in a small village can directly sell the product to anyone sitting in US also or UK also. Nowadays, due to the online trading, there is no limit actually. So, no limit for customer base. So, these are the points in favor. But of course, there are some problems with international trade also. So, there are some points against it. Let's see what. Unemployment due to shift of work. Every country faces this problem. You must have seen that the Prime Minister of every country says that you should give an opportunity to the local person, not to the person who is coming from the other country. So that is why unemployment problem is always there when it is international trade. Unemployment due to new technologies. When the new technology is imported, the work which was done by 10 workers is now completed by a single machine within half of the time. So these 10 persons or operators will be unemployed. That's a problem. Exploitation by stronger countries. ये तो हमेशा का ही problem है. When the stronger countries are having very positive terms of trade, it's quite obvious कि उनको जैसे चाहिए वैसे ही वो terms conditions रख सकते हैं. The countries which are underdeveloped or developing countries may not have that much bargaining power in international market. Affecting the natural resources. हम हमारे घर में हर एक चीज की केयर करते हैं. Everything should be proper at proper place. Nothing should be damaged. But when we go to the other persons or when we go in a hotel, maybe we will not care to that extent. Same thing happens when the external, that is the foreigners come in our country, maybe they will not take care of natural resources and other ethical points also. So maybe that will create a problem to our country. Threat to the domestic industry. Obviously, when the fine products of the best quality at a very low price are introduced in our country, our domestic market obviously gets affected. That's a problem. Over-dependence on the other countries is risky. Obviously, if there is a sudden war, unfortunately, between two countries, and if I am getting raw material from country B, with whom the war is declared, suddenly my production will stop, and maybe I will not be able to work forever in my life as the raw material is not available. So, over-dependency is also risky. Excessive export affect the domestic prices also. If I am manufacturing a pen and I am getting a very good market abroad, obviously I will not sell it in India or in our country. So scarcity will take place and the prices for that product may go up, and that is why many times the export is also banned for some time so that the prices will come down. Quality of goods can be ignored. As we know, there are some specific countries who are sending the goods to our country in lot, in a huge quantity, that is called as dumping of goods, and the quality is not taken care of, so that could be a risk for international market due to international transaction. Lack of perfect transparency in trading. In our country also it becomes very difficult to control each and everyone. हम इतने सारे businesses देखते हैं जो rules break करते हैं and they are not following the things which they are expected to. How can you expect the other countries and their manufacturers कि वो हमारे सारे rules follow करेंगे? Ideally we should expect, लेकिन ऐसी गारंटी तो हम नहीं दे सकते. Maybe they are violating some terms and conditions जो हमें बाद में पता चले. So that can also be a point against the international trade. But of course, even though we are having so many points in favor and against, as a part of discussion it is good, but you cannot say that it should not be or there should not be the international trade. So इसके बारे में कितना भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे, ultimately we have to accept that international trade is unavoidable, inevitable. So the theories of international trade. सवाल आता है कि दो कंट्रीज एक दूसरे से ट्रांजैक्शन करती ही क्यों है? Why should they enter in an agreement? So these theories try to explain the reasons behind the international trade. What are these theories? First is mercantilist view of international trade, theory of absolute advantage, theory of comparative advantage, Hexter's and Owen, HO theory of trade, and the new trade theory. So these are 5 theories which we are going to go through and which will try to explain कि दो countries एक दूसरे से transactions करने में क्यों interested होती है. Let's see first the mercantilist view of international trade. It is the oldest form of theory based on collecting the maximum foreign exchange through export. The baseline was ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा goods export करो and collect the foreign exchange. At that time, it may be in the form of gold coins or silver coins. So the main objective was to collect maximum gold coins of the other countries. So even though that currency is not applicable in our country, we can melt it, but gold is available. So that was a very simple rule. Go in a new market, find out new countries, explore the market, collect the foreign exchange in the form of gold coins. Forex in the form of precious metals, aiming to make the country richer through it. So just I want my country to be richer, so I am collecting the gold coins for me. So that was a simple thing. Stress on maximum exports and minimum imports. That is what is the problem. If a country decides to export everything but we are not going to import, in a long run it is not going to work. Affected due to lack of win-win situation. Country A is interested in export but not in import, so it's a win-lose situation. And unless there is a win-win situation, you cannot have a long-term trade. So that was the problem with this theory. So theory number 1 was purely one-sided theory: export the goods, collect the gold coins, and be a richer country. That was the first theory. Theory of international trade says second one is theory of absolute advantage. Now some advantageous situation is created. Let's see how. It is introduced by Robin Smith, also known as 2x2 theory. The countries will export on the basis of absolute cost advantage. I will export the goods in which I am not having that much cost. I am having the cheaper cost for that product. I will export that product. The country will produce and export such product which is cost beneficial to it. जो सस्ता है वो बनाओ और बेच दो. Simple सी बात है. For example, country A and B asked to produce product X 5 hours, but for Y I take 8 hours. Country B needs 9 hours to produce X, but it can manufacture product Y in 6 hours. Obviously, for country A, product X is a favorable product, and for B, product Y is a more comfortable to go for. So, country A will produce product X and will import product Y. Why so? तो फिर आपको प्रॉब्लम क्या है? आप A भी बना दो ना Y, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? But country A will say, I will manufacture this and I will export it to B, and B will manufacture the product Y for me. It will save 2 hours so that it will be cost effective. It saves 2 hours per unit of Y and shall use it for product of X. I will not manufacture Y, I will manufacture X again, then I will export and I will import Y. So जो Y का time बचा है, I will use it for X and I can produce more of X. Country B will take the opposite stand, obviously. Will produce product Y and will import product X. He will save 4 hours of manufacturing of X and he will use it for manufacturing of Y. As simple as this. So that was the theory of absolute advantage. The country shall never produce the product having higher cost. It ultimately becomes combination of and leads to long life international trade. Simple hai. Country A will be specialist in X, it will never manufacture Y, and country B will manufacture Y and never will manufacture X. A perfect correlation. For a long time they can have import and export of the opposite commodities. That was second. Third theory is the theory of comparative advantage. What is this now? It is introduced by Ricardo. It deals with the situation where one country is having advantage on both the goods. We have seen the earlier theory where country A was having advantage on first but not the second. Now here the question comes, if first country is having advantage of both the goods, दोनों product मैं सस्ते में बना सकता हूँ, I don't need that country. Why should I import them? Let's see what happens. And the other country has absolute disadvantage on both the goods. Second के लिए दोनों महंगे जाने वाले हैं. Still there is a chance for exchange of goods between these two countries. Let's see how. Product A can manufacture product X in 5 hours and Y in 4 hours, while B takes 20 hours and 12 hours. So here it is 4 times extra, here it is 3 times extra. Country A has absolute cost advantage over B in both the products. Country A can produce both the products in lesser hours and at the lower cost. Still country A will produce Y more advantageous or lesser disadvantageous product. Country A will produce Y. Let's see why. Here it is. Country A will produce Y because here it is Y product. Here it is, instead of 12 hours, it is getting 4 hours. So it is saving 8 hours, and here it is 15 hours. So for A it is lesser disadvantages. I will explain how. Country A will produce Y more disadvantages or more advantages or lesser disadvantageous product. Still country A will import X from country B lesser advantageous product. Now here we can see that country B needs 20 hours to manufacture product X, while country A needs only 5 hours to manufacture this. So instead of manufacturing product X in 5 hours, country A will manufacture Y in 4 hours. So it is saving 1 hour over here, and it will ask country B to manufacture this. Now country B, even though it is having disadvantage for both the products, still it will say that's fine, if you are importing this, I am ready to export. So what country A will think, instead of giving 1 hour extra to X, I will manufacture more products of Y. So it is making choice between best and better. So I will make the choice of best, I will get the better manufacture from the other country. Of course, such kind of theories are having some basic assumptions also. These are hypothetical situation. So import product X from country B. Country B will get an opportunity to export X, which is a lower disadvantageous to it, and country A will be specialized in product Y, and B will be gradually specialized in product X. So gradual specialization will come. Ricardo assumes that labor is the only important factor of productions. As I said, there are some assumptions. So he has assumed that labor is the only factor of production used in it, not machines. So the second theory states that, third theory states that even though one country is having advantage on both the products and one country is having disadvantage on both the products, still import is possible, because first country will try to choose the product which is best and will give the better one to the other country, so it will get an opportunity to export with some assumptions, of course. So that was third. Now comes the fourth theory, HO theory. It is introduced by Elie Heckenser and his student Bertil Ohlin. It is also, some contribution is also given by Paul Samuelson. So it is also known as factor endowment theory of trade. What is this factor endowment? It is also known as modern theory of trade. It gives importance to the factor endowment, that is factors of production. Now here only labor is not the factor of production, some other factors are also working. It assumes that there are two factors, labor and capital. Human being और पैसा, ये दो factors of production लगने वाले हैं. It states that every country gets specialized in one of the factor of production. मेरे पास workers हैं, किसी और country के पास पैसा है, and vice versa. It also states that say country A is specialized in labor-oriented products, country A will need more and more laborer. For example, country A is a labor-oriented manufacturing country, so it will need more and more laborer. मुझे workers ज़्यादा लगते हैं. While country B is specialized to manufacture with the help of capital, here you can say capital means machine, amount invested in machines. Country A will need more and more laborer, which will increase the price of wage rate of workers. More is the demand, of course more will be the price to be paid for laborers, that is workers. Thus more and more workers shall try shifting from country A to country A from even country B. कंट्री बी में जब पता चलता है कि वहां पे वर्कर्स के लिए बहुत डिमांड है, दे गेट शिफ्टेड टू दैट कंट्री. लेट्स फॉरगेट अबाउट कंट्री. हमारे देश में भी हम देखते हैं जब छोटे छोटे गांवों में से लोग शहर की तरफ जाते हैं. व्हाई डज दिस हैपन? बिकॉज दे नो इट वेरी वेल कि शहरों में उनको ज्यादा सैलरी मिलने की प्रोबेबिलिटी है. ऑन द सेम लाइन ही अज्यूम्स दैट the workers of country B even will get shifted to A because the wage rates are going up in country A. While if country B produces the machine-oriented goods, the demand for machine will increase in country B. Country B says we don't need workers, we are machine-oriented manufacturing people or country, so we need machines, capital. And thus the price of machines will increase in country B. So, country A specializes in production of and export of labor-intensive goods, while country B specializes in export and production and export of machine-intensive goods. See, country A labor-oriented, country B machine-oriented, that is capital-oriented. Gradually, the prices of labor in country A and prices of machines in country B shall equalize at such a level that there will be no chance of changing the factors now and both the countries become the same market finally. He assumes that, or this theorem assumes that, at a certain level the wage rate will go up and now further it is not going to be increased. Here the cost of machines will go up and it will come at the same level. How same level? Maybe I am a businessman and instead of hiring new workers, now I will think about giving it to the other country, that is they are manufacturing on machines. So the demand for workers will gradually come down. At the other hand, country B may think that instead of purchasing a new machine, let's hire some laborer and get the things done. So at certain level, this theory assumes that it's an equilibrium point. Now no shifting of labor and machines is possible. Thus, it is called, the HO theory is also called as HO equalization theorem. So what this theory tries to explain, of course, again based on some assumptions, दो countries import exports क्यों करती हैं? The reason this theory tries to give is maybe उनका production करने का तरीका अलग है. One is labor oriented production country and second is machine oriented production country. That's why due to this differential they get involved in export of the goods. Country A will export the labor oriented products while country B will export the machine oriented products. That was a theory, HO theory, equalization theory. That was the fourth one. I repeat, we are discussing the reasons why two countries gets involved in international trade. Why not to sell the products in our own country? So these theories are trying to explain the same. Now let's move towards the fifth, the new trade theory, NTT. It is introduced in 1970s and it analyzes the question why countries import the goods. Import करने की जरूरत ही क्यों पड़ती है? Even if these countries manufacture the same goods, हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी है कि अगर domestic countries are also manufacturing, still we are importing. Like cell phones, we are having our own manufacturing companies. At least on paper, they are manufacturing in India. As we know, the material, raw material, or even the knockdown parts are imported and then the assembly is done. But at least they are Indian companies. Still, we prefer to purchase some goods or some cell phones from the other countries also. Why so? So, the theory gives two reasons for it, economies of scale and network effects. Why the import is done? Answer, first, economies of scale. Selling the products in different countries leads to large scale production. आप सोचिए, इतने जबरदस्त लेवल पे प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है कि मेरी कॉस्ट पर यूनिट कम हो जाती है. As you know it very well, fixed cost per unit comes down with more and more units produced. So, cost effectiveness हो जाता है, it reduces the cost per unit and gives benefit of economies of scale. Thus, the products are available at a cheaper prices to the consumer. We know it very well. हमारे देश में same products are available at a very low rate coming from different countries. Why? वहाँ पे large scale production हो रहा है. तो हम सोचते हैं भाई ठीक है ना, हमें सस्ते में प्रोडक्ट मिल रहा है, we have to go for it. So that is what is a theme. Cost per unit is lower. So economy of scale. Second is network effect. Why the import takes place? Due to international trade, the network of production increases. As the number of users increases, the producer understands the exact needs. When I am having my supply in different countries, I know the need of each and every customer from that country or the pattern of the customers, so I can manufacture according to it and I can manufacture again in a large scale. लेट मी रिमाइंड यू कि चाइना में रक्षाबंधन नहीं होता है, फिर भी चाइना वाले चीजें हमारे यहाँ पे रक्षाबंधन से एक महीना पहले आ जाती है. See how they do plan. They know all the festivals we have over here. They manufacture it there and send it to us. So that is why the network effect works for them. The producer gets more exposure and become quality conscious. It increases the utility of the product and thus the demand further increases. Just imagine initially जब mobiles आए थे, it was just take the call and send the or receive the messages. Nowadays cell phone से ज्यादा वो कैमरा हो गया, सेल फोन से ज्यादा वो गाने बजाने का इंस्ट्रूमेंट हो गया. So n number of things are available, internet facilities are available. So when you are exposed to the world, obviously new and new things comes in. इंटरनेशनल लेवल के R&D का आपको फायदा होता है. द यूटिलिटी ऑफ अ प्रोडक्ट गोज सच टू एन एक्सटेंट कि उसका ऑब्वियसली डिमांड बढ़ जाता है. नेटवर्क इफेक्ट. इट इज आल्सो कॉल्ड एज अ बैंडवैगन इफेक्ट. Thus, as per NTT theory, the countries import the products as these are cheaper and get more utility from the other countries. To conclude on this note, coming to the conclusion of the chapter, we have seen what exactly international trade is, and then the second question was why the countries gets involved in international trade. There are 5 different theories given to explain us how exactly this takes place. Of course, not a single theory is actually working in the market, it's a combination of all. So coming to the end of this chapter, the theories of international trade, chapter number 4 and unit number 1.